Attorney Robert Canoy here from the law offices of McCormack and McCormack and militarylawyers.org. Today I'm going to be discussing what happens after a criminal investigation within the U.S. military. Say you're an active duty service member, sailor, airman, Marine, and you found yourself under NCIS, OSI, CGIS, CID investigation, or even a more simple command investigation. What happens? Who decides? Well, prior to 2024, in the 70 years that we've had a uniform code of military justice, those decisions were exclusively made by commanding officers, be it 06s, 07s, flag officers, general officers. In 2024, Congress dramatically changed the system. They gave the discretion for primarily all serious offenses to be made by attorneys within something called the Office of the Special Trial Counsel. These attorneys, these prosecutors in each branches of the service are now the decision maker for criminal investigations, including whether an individual service member faces court-martial charges. Those offices are headed by a one-star admiral or general with authorities kind of delegated down to your various branch offices at different bases across the country. That's a very, very different scenario than even 2 or 3 years ago, because it has essentially removed the command from court-martial determinations. So you may ask the question, what if I'm a great soldier? What if I'm a great sailor? What if I have an outstanding service record? What if my command loves me? What if I'm a top performer? What if I've received very high awards, great evaluations, great fit reps? Does that play an impact? And it does, but not nearly to the extent that it used to. Why? Because your commanding officer is no longer the decision maker in determining whether you face charges. That has created a very different dynamic for people. It's different than it was even 2 or 3 years ago because of the removal of the command from that. One thing that has remained somewhat consistent, though, is what happens after the criminal investigation. Suppose that you are fortunate enough and perhaps your attorney has convinced the prosecutors not to bring court-martial charges against you. What happens at that point? Well, the matter gets returned to the command for decisions on administrative actions. The worst or most significant, harshest form of administrative action that a service member can face is something called administrative separation. If you go to administrative separation, that is essentially the process by which the service, perhaps via a board or other process, is going to determine whether you get to remain in the service. They're also going to determine potentially whether you are involuntarily separated with a negative characterization of service, where you may lose all of your post-service VA benefits. That decision is one in which the command has the primary role. However, those determinations only are made after closure of the criminal investigation and deferral of any criminal charges back to the command for decision. If you find yourself in this situation, it is critical that you have active and competent representation throughout the entirety of that process, both in trying to assure that you do not face criminal charges and also representing you through the administrative process, administrative decision-making, and any administrative separation process. If you find yourself in this situation, call me. I do free consultations. McCormack and McCormack or militarylawyers.org, 757-463-7224.